The last point, so I think with that one, since inshallah the point is well understood, we don't need to spend this much time on the last objection, which follows the same pattern. So we'll go over it very quickly. The pattern is your claim that there's a resurrection and your claim that there's an afterlife means that this creator has this fantastic, unbelievable, incredible knowledge. So once again, we'd say, yeah, it just happens to be the type of creator we believe in. He does have that type of knowledge. So it's not an issue. Okay? And then we would add to this. The first one is, a lot of this stems from their projection of their own way of thinking, or their own knowledge, or how a human being acquires knowledge and has knowledge, and they want to impose that on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's one of the problems. And I would argue that this first verse gives us a glimpse of that. When Musa alayhi salam came to Fir'aun, and he told him about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Fir'aun asked Prophet Musa alayhi salam, what then is the condition of the previous generations? When he told him, we're all going to die, we're going to God, and He's going to judge us, so we have to do good here, you have to do good. If you do bad, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to judge you and punish you. So Fir'aun asks, what is then the condition of the previous generations? So many people, so many generations, so many civilizations have died. Okay? So, what do we do with all of them? And Moses replied, the knowledge of those generations is with my Lord, duly recorded. My Lord never errs, never makes a mistake, nor forgets. So why would Pharaoh object like this? He's projecting his own way after claiming to those people that he is their Lord, he is their supreme Lord, Rabbukum al-A'la, he says about himself. But of course, when he thinks about himself, would he be able to have that type of ability to record and remember? And no. So he does not want to grant that to another God. So the limitation is there in your inability to just accept the logical conclusion of what type of God he is. And then the last verse that I wanted to provide, I think is very powerful in that it combines the answer to both objections. The previous one, which is the objection against the power of God, and the one with, or against the knowledge of God. So you have both in the same. Does a human being not see that we created him from a drop of seminal fluid, and behold, he is openly disputing with us? Or, and behold, he is a manifest adversary. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, the human being kind of does not remember, does not keep in mind what he started from, and now that he has the ability to, he stands before us defying us, objecting to us, arguing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, he's arguing with me. Okay, so he says, he is khasimun mubin. Khasim is arguing. Right? Mubin is, he thinks that he's very eloquent and clear and manifest in the way that he explains his points. So suddenly now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, the human being forgets what he was. And behold, now he's standing and defying me. And he drew a comparison to us. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, he's giving me an example, or he's making a point, forgetting his own creation. And he drew a comparison for us, forgetting his own creation. He says, who shall ever revive the bones when they have completely decayed? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answers him, this is what you have forgotten, human being. Say, he will give them life who created them the first time, and created you the first time. But you forget about yourself. So he's saying, know your place before you start defying and objecting and rejecting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and what his prophet is bringing to you. For he is the knower of every kind of creation. So here you see the combination of both power and knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's all we had as points. A couple of maybe last remarks before we close. The first one is, inshallah, to those of you who have been following along from the beginning, that you see the logical sequence and the importance, for instance, of having understood the divine attributes, Sometimes it may seem like it's a very abstract or theoretical discussion, but as we go along, we see how it has very concrete applications to everything else we need to discuss later, right? So everything we're saying now is based on the divine attributes, for instance, that we presented and discussed at length, right? And I think everything that we have said until now has been built in that way. And for those who have not been following along from the beginning, maybe this is a reminder and an incentive and an encouragement to make sure that you don't skip out, you don't miss out on those parts. Spend a little bit of time and be patient so that you build your belief system the right way from the beginning. Start with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and understand Him and His attributes, move to prophethood and revelation and religion, and then the details of religion, and then to the afterlife. And inshallah, our series provides this. But no matter how you do it, you need to do it in this sequence, and then there are no gaps and there are no contradictions. The remarks that I wanted to finish with is, so we said now we are going through the verses of the Holy Quran. So the next phase, the next verses of the Holy Quran should be now the Holy Quran goes on the attack. It counterattacks with its own arguments. Before we do that, because we're not going to have a chance to do it later, it won't fit in the logic. The next lecture, we're going to add other objections. Maybe ones that are not directly addressed by the Holy Quran because they appeared later in theological schools and philosophers and others. All of the answers that we gave, they are sufficient for anything that anyone can throw against the idea of resurrection. But sometimes you need to be shown how to do it or where the issue is or where the objection is. So inshallah, the next time we meet, we're going to go through all of the main objections against the idea of the resurrection of the afterlife as we find them in all the classic works of theology. There's probably 7 to 10 of them. We'll summarize them and present them quickly. And then with that, you will feel inshallah comfortable with the topic of the afterlife resurrection with all of the kind of points, counterpoints to establish and know that your beliefs in this issue is complete and there are no issues with it. We're not leaving anything to chance or no rock unturned, as they say. And the other point is that all of this is entirely, until now, as you have probably observed, noticed, it's all based on the Holy Quran. We have not mentioned narrations. And the reason is because we're going very fast. We're going just after the things that are the most important. Inshallah, there will come a time, we'll dedicate the time because it's a fascinating, beautiful, and very, very important topic to spend some time looking at what the narrations say about all of this. And they give a completely different flavor. And inshallah, we'll keep all of this in mind when we have a chance to talk about more, ethical, akhlaq, morals, topics. We'll bring a lot more of those narrations into the equation. And with all of this, we'll stop here, inshallah. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
وأنتم.